All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Alice Baker Meuten. I'm a if you don't know me already, I'm a veterinarian in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I specialize in the canine athlete. I work on a lot of agility dogs, hunting dogs, herding dogs, fly ball, all of these different sporting type dogs. So today, we're going to go through a series of lectures that is primarily focused on the canine athlete. And to do that, I'd like to start with just an introduction to canine sports. So canine sports, you may have clients in your practice that are canine athlete clients, or you may have them and you don't even know. That can be part of the problem. A lot of these clients really are seeking out veterinarians that understand what their dogs are doing. So if I can climb up on my little soapbox here, I promise it won't be very long. I feel like we as veterinarians need to meet them where they're at. We need to make the effort to understand what they're asking of their dogs and what their passion is. And the more we understand what their dogs are doing, the better it is for our client relationship and the better it is for the welfare of the patient. So that's my soapbox, and now we'll get on to the lectures. So this first lecture is called Introduction to Canine Sports. We're just going to kind of talk about the different sports, and it'll be kind of fun to see little videos of what these dogs do. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is usually on the first page of my lectures here. So the first sport I'd like to talk about is obedience. This is probably the most basic but also the most complicated of the canine sports. The basics of obedience are correcting bad behaviors in dogs, deepening the bond with your dog, and to help ensure the dog's safety. In obedience, they have just training classes, and then they have competition classes. So the training classes are basic puppy classes, sit, down, stay, come here, those kind of things. And then you move on to your basic classes, which gets a little bit more complex with impulse control and things like that. And then we have Canine Good Citizen. This is more geared towards taking your dog out in public and making sure that they have good manners in public. The competition classes, it goes through novice, open, utility, and there's a preferred class here. So in novice classes, it's generally the dog is on leash, but there is some off-leash time. In the open classes, it's all off-leash. And then there's these longer times where they have to hold a sit and hold a lie down. In the utility class, they do scent discriminations and directed retrieves, directed jumping, things like that. And the preferred class is more of an alternate class. So this is for dogs that can't do group exercises where a bunch of dogs are in a downstay at the same time and the owners leave the room. And they can have lower jumps for dogs that have orthopedic issues. There's also a new sport that's being developed called rally obedience. And in this sport, you go through a series of obstacles. So there's 10 to 20 stations, and at each station you'll do the prescribed obstacle at that station. The scoring here is not as rigorous as traditional obedience, but again, it has the same goals to produce dogs that are well behaved at home, in the community, and around other dogs. I've got some videos here of obedience and some links if you want to learn more. We can just watch a quick little video here, and if you want to do more on your own time, you can certainly do that. So this is what traditional obedience kind of looks like. A judge is following the handler and the dog around, scoring. and the judge calls out what he wants the handler to do at any given time. So the judge just asked him to turn, asked him to stop, asked him to send the dog out to retrieve, and bring the glove back. So that's some basic obedience. Again, you can go through these and watch them on your own a little bit if you want to learn more. And then the links below, you can also use those to learn more as well. Conformation. This is another huge world in dog sports. A lot of us don't think of conformation dogs as sporting dogs, but their owners definitely do. So again, kind of soapboxy. These are your breeders that come into your clinic, and again, I feel like we need to meet them where they're at. The only way we're going to make these dogs better is for the breeders and the veterinarians to work together to improve the well-being of the dog. So conformation, this is all based on a breed standard. So every breed has a written standard, which is based on the ideal dog for that breed. So when a dog goes to a show, the judges are supposed to compare each dog to the breed standard dog. And the standards are written based on the dog's appearance, their temperament, and their movement. In AKC, there are 7 groups. The sporting group, which is retrievers, spaniels, pointers, and setters. The hound group, which are sight hounds and scent hounds. So the sight hounds are more like wolfhounds and Afghans, and the scent hounds are more like bloodhounds and beagles. There's a working group. This is Akitas, Borbals, Mastiffs, Newfoundlands, Dobermans, a lot of protection type dogs. And then we've got terriers, all the way from Airedale Terriers, Border Terriers, Staffordshire Terriers, all of the terrier types. We have the toy group, so these are Chihuahuas, Havanese, Maltese, those kind of dogs. Our non-sporting group, this would be the Boston Terrier, which isn't in the terrier group. Shar-Pei, Chow Chows, Dalmatians, French Bulldogs, Poodles, those kinds. And then we have the herding group. This is your cattle dog, your border collie, your Australian shepherd, German shepherd, so more of the upright type herding dogs are in this group too. So in conformation, you can see here they show the dog just in their stance and then also in their movement. We can look at a quick little video here too. Maybe. Or maybe not. Instead of that, we can look at this German Shepherd here, up here on the right. So in a stacked stance, that's what the conformation people call a nice square stance. And what that in most breeds means is that the tarsi, the hocks, are straight up and down, and the forelimbs are straight up and down as well. So when a dog is standing in that square position, that's called a stack. The German Shepherd dog here has, we've changed it so much that it has such severe hind end angulation that it can't stand in a square stack. So they have to have one leg forward to be in their stack. So that's one of the extremes that's happened in our conformation world, and we can talk more about that. If you want to go off track, you can email me and we can talk about that. All right. Moving on to agility. Agility is considered the most popular dog sport in America. It might even be in the world. In this sport, there's a dog and a handler, and they run through an obstacle course together with the dog off lead. The dog follows nonverbal and verbal cues from the handler, and they're scored on time, faults, refusals, and staying on course. So some of the obstacles that these dogs have to do are jumps, tunnels, chutes, which most of the venues have outlawed the chutes because they're pretty dangerous. The tire ring, at the top here you can see a dog jumping through a ring. That's another thing that's changed over the past few years. The tire used to be connected, and now since so many dogs have gotten hurt doing that, they have a breakaway tire. So if the dog hits it wrong, it'll break away, and they won't get hurt as badly. The table, so that's just a stop and stay on a table. An A-frame, in the bottom right corner here, you can see a dog going up a ramp, and this is an A-frame, and then they come down on the other side. Dog walk, which is much narrower type of, there it is, right here in the middle of this course, that's the dog walk. It's very narrow, and a lot of dogs fall off of that. The teeter, you can see that here. The dog comes up, and it seesaws with the dog's weight on the way down. And then weave poles, of course. This is what we always think of in agility. The dog is weaving through a set of poles there. So those are the obstacles in agility. We can kind of look at some videos here. Maybe. All right. Oh. That's what's wrong. All right. So this is a client of mine sending her dog through an agility course. Jumps and tunnels. Here it goes up the A-frame, down the A-frame, weave poles. And that's what agility looks like. So again, here are a bunch of more videos that you can watch. You've probably all got friends or clients that do agility, and if you wanted to go watch a live competition, those are a lot of fun, and you learn a lot talking to people and watching the dogs. That goes for all of these sports. If you can spend some time going to them, you'll learn much more than a little 1-hour lecture from me. So here's some links if you want to learn more about the different venues. There's USDAA, there's NADAC, AKC, and then Worlds. A lot of different venues to learn about there. All right, moving on to flyball. Flyball is another crazy wild dog sport. These dogs get really, really amped up and run out to retrieve a tennis ball and then run back, and it's a relay race. There are 4 dogs per team, and there are 4 jumps that are set 10 feet apart, but the jumps are set to the height of the lowest dog in the class. So every team has what they call a height dog, which is a small dog on the team, so that the height is low for everybody. So at the end of the course, there's a spring-loaded box that shoots out a tennis ball, and it shoots out based on which way the dog naturally turns. So there are 3 different locations where the tennis ball comes out, depending on which way the dog likes to turn. So when the dog hits the box, the tennis ball comes out, they retrieve it and sprint back. So the way it works is the first team to have all 4 dogs complete without any faults wins a heat. So if the dog drops a ball or goes off course, then that dog has to run again after the other dogs to finish that course. In competition, if you win 3 heats, then you get a point in the tournament. And again, these are wild and crazy courses, so we can watch what that looks like on a video here. And if you go to a trial, make sure you bring some earplugs. It's amazing to me that these dogs don't have collisions when they send the next dog, or if they drop a ball, and naturally the dog's going to want to go get the ball. So if they run off course and into the other dog's course. Okay, sorry about that, a little technical difficulties, but back to fly ball. Again, this is a video that a group of fly ball people created, and they put it to music, and it's really intense, and that's kind of how these people and their dogs are.
You ready? Let's go.
So this is them getting their dogs all hyped up and amped up, ready to run. The dogs just go crazy over this, and they're holding them back. And then they release them, and they run out, grab their ball, turn, and run back. In spite of the fact that some people still think that they know, but no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure. And then there's a big dog being goofy. A lot of them put carpal wraps and tarsal wraps on their dogs. I think it's less for support of the joints and more for abrasions and things like that. Again, it's amazing they don't have more collisions. Timing is really critical here. If you see the 2 poles, the vertical poles, one dog's nose has to cross that pole before the other dog's nose going forward crosses it. There's a person standing at the box. They actually triggered the release of the tennis ball, not the spring load from the box. All right. So you get the idea of fly ball. It's a lot of fun. It's really crazy. And again, if you go watch a trial, bring some earplugs because there's a lot of barking. We'll talk about injuries and stuff later on in these lectures, but you can kind of start watching for things like that when you're watching these videos in this lecture. Okay. Disc dog. This is another really popular sport. What happens here is basically a frisbee competition. Any mixed breed dog or purebred dog can compete in it. They have different types of events. So there's timed events, there's accuracy events, distance events, and style events. So the style events are kind of what we think about when we think about Frisbee dogs, where they're kind of dancing and throwing a bunch of different Frisbees around and that kind of stuff. And they call that freestyle Frisbee. So over here on the right, these are the names of the different types of disc dog trials. And we can watch a couple videos. I think these are more of the style type videos. Watching the athleticism of these dogs is pretty incredible, but also as sports medicine veterinarians, we cringe at some of this, seeing potential injuries. That dog was probably 8-10 feet up in the air there. All the twists and turns they do in the air. Another style video, a bunch of different people. That dog just caught 2 Frisbees at once, or had one in its mouth and caught another one. They do lots of fun, crazy stuff with their dogs. And the dogs just love it. They crave fun stuff like this. This girl goes so far as to have a wrap on her thigh so the dog has traction when it launches off of her thigh. Same with this girl, pants that have traction for the dog. All right. Feel free to watch some more of those on your own. And again, I've got some links if you want to learn more about all of these different types of sports. All right, dock diving, another really popular sport. Any dog can do it. It's kind of fun to see people that are just trying it out at some of the competitions and what kind of dogs come out and what dogs are braver than you thought they would be about jumping off of a big dock like this. But there are different types of events in dock diving. Height, distance, and retrieving are the 3 different types of jumping off of the dock. I don't actually have a video here, but anyway, you can see that the dogs kind of launch themselves off. This dog's launching up to retrieve this bumper up here, same thing down here. And you can see the motions that the dog has to go through to achieve this goal. Very propulsive coming off the dock. Then a lot of spinal hyperextension when they come down into the water. And then, of course, the swimming involved coming back too. All right. Freestyle. This is a funny one. This is dogs and people dancing together. So it's a choreographed dance that people do with the dogs. It's also known as heel work to music or musical freestyle. And the goals of this is to kind of work with the dog's natural abilities. So some of the movements that they can do naturally. It's also to celebrate the relationship with your dog, creating visually appealing movements, and the movement should be dog-focused but human-enhanced, and they move in a common rhythm. It's also competitively crafted to music, so we can have a look at that here. This one's Phantom of the Opera. And again, watching the movements of the dog, the athleticism, the potential injuries, that kind of stuff. This one's like a Charlie Chaplin theme. Here's a Grease-themed one. The amount of time it takes to choreograph these and train is pretty remarkable. All right, you can watch some of these on your own. You've probably all seen dancing dogs, but it's always fun to watch it again. Again, here's some links if you want to learn more about freestyle and dancing dogs. Barn hunt, this is another fairly new sport. This one is less physical for owners and their pets. So a lot of my clients are older, maybe empty nesters or never had kids, and their dog is their life. So a lot of them try all of these different dog sports, and agility can sometimes be too much physicalness for some of them, so some of them look into other things like barn hunt and nose work and things like that. So barn hunt is fun for most dogs. Terriers obviously would excel in this, but even border collies and labs and things like that have fun doing it. So basically what they do here is there's all of these obstacles set up with hay bales, and the dog has to go through some obstacles, and they're hunting this tube down here in the corner with a live rat in it. The live rat is safe and secure, and the barn hunt people, a lot of them own these rats and their pets too, so it's a fun game for everyone, I think. So the dogs are hunting out these tubes, and the more progressed you get in the sport, so the more advanced it is. Sometimes there are tubes that have no rat in them, and sometimes there are tubes that have shavings that smell like rats, but not the rat, and the dog has to signal when it's found the one with the actual rat instead of signaling on the dummy or the fake one. To get their qualification. So we can watch what that looks like here. won't let me go into full screen, but you can see here that they're doing a little training session, and this dog is on leash, I think, kind of going through looking for the tube. And when you're learning how to do this, you got to find out what your dog's signals are. So do they sit? Do they wag their tail funny? Do they look at you? Do they tense up? A bunch of different signals. See the little tail wiggle? That means he's found it. All right, so that's Barn Hunt. Again, more links, more videos if you're interested in learning more about it. Earth Dog is kind of a similar principle. These dogs are looking for a caged rat, but it's underground, so they go through these little underground tunnels to find them. And then when they're first starting out, or when they approach the tunnel, that's called the quarry. So in the beginning, they just want to see the dogs working the quarry, which means they're just sitting there digging, trying to get in there. And then they progress on through different levels of difficulty, and it becomes even a brace competition, which means two dogs go out together, and when one dog finds the quarry, the other dog has to honor it, which means they aren't allowed to dig. The dog that found it is the only one that's allowed to dig. So that can be pretty complicated, especially with a terrier, I'm sure. Herding. This one is near and dear to my heart. I do competitive herding with my dogs. These are some of my dogs here. The Border Collie in the upper left there, that was my first rescue Border Collie that needed a job, and I took her herding, and she fell in love with it, and then I fell in love with it as well. So she got me hooked. And then this is my little cattle dog down here. He was a challenge, but he loved it too. A lot of breeds do this. Over here, this is a Rottweiler herding ducks. So a lot of you are like, what? A Rottweiler and ducks? It doesn't just kill them? It's pretty incredible to see how gentle these guys can be with their little ducks. All right, so the goal of herding is to move sheep, goats, cattle, ducks, turkeys, or geese through an obstacle course. And the courses are designed to mimic real-world ranching situations. There are a bunch of different breeds, like I said, that do herding, and the breeds were actually developed in different ways to perform different tasks. So if you think of Border Collies or the Australian Kelpie, they were designed to go out and gather big groups of livestock and bring them back. Whereas the upright breeds is what we call them, like German Shepherds, Belgian Taverns, Belgian Sheepdogs, Briards, things like that. They were developed to tend livestock. So what they do is, while the livestock are out grazing, they just kind of cover the borders to make sure nobody gets lost, and they kind of keep them in their confined grazing areas. The driving dogs, so this means like pushing livestock away, so moving them from one pasture to another. The dogs that were developed for that are more the Australian cattle dog, corgis, and Australian shepherds. Corgis specifically were developed for cattle in feedlot kind of situations, or close quarters, so that they can get in low and nip at the heels, moving through underneath fences and things like that. And those dogs are into their job, that's for sure. So here's some different organizations in herding. USBCHA is kind of the big Border Collie Association, and they're more geared towards big field trial settings for sheepdogs and more arena and field trial settings for the cow working Border Collies. AHBA, this is the American Herding Breed Association. Any herding breed can participate in this, even if they're mixed breed. ASCA, this is the Australian Shepherd Club of America. Any herding breed can participate in this one as well, but it's mainly geared toward the Australian Shepherd, so the obstacles are more Australian Shepherd type obstacles. And then the AKC, American Kennel Club, has herding events as well, arena and field events, and tending events, actually. All right. Here's some links if you want to learn more about it, or you can email me, and I would happily talk for days about herding. This is called the Meeker Classic. It's a annual event in Colorado. It's one of the bigger sheepdog competitions in the country. So this is kind of a description of what they do.
For example, the infield course consists of 3 sets of panels, a shedding ring, and the handler's post. The distance from the handler's post to the fetch panels must be 200 yards, and to each set of drive panels must be 150 yards. The shedding ring must be 40 yards in diameter. The team begins the course with the maximum number of points for each phase. The judge deducts points for imperfections as the dog and handler team run the course. The time limit is just to keep the trial moving forward. Scores are determined by how many points are left when time runs out.
So again, watch the athleticism that these dogs have to have. Fast, speeding up, slowing down, turning quickly.
Gather the flock and then move them to the shepherd. After this, the dog uses refined skills to work with the shepherd to separate selected sheep from the flock and guide them into the pen. The shepherd
This pen is out in the open. It's not up against a fence, so you can imagine how hard it is to get 3 to 5 animals with their own minds in there.
The sheep are deceptively quick and can be decidedly ornery. Here's how the trial works. When a team...
All right. For the sake of time, if you guys want to learn more, you can go back and watch the rest of that. Tri-ball. This is a herding type sport, so for herding dogs or people with herding dogs that don't want to work with livestock, this one's a fun game for them to do. So it mimics herding. There's 8 balls, and there's a goalpost. So the handler has to stay in this goalpost zone. And then the dog has to go out and bring balls back. And based on the level of complication, the dog brings them back in certain orders and that kind of stuff. And timing too. They make it harder by shortening the amount of time they have to do it. Yeah, so they send the dog out. He's telling the dog which one to get, which is this big light blue one. And the dog pushes it back. It's supposed to push it back, or it pushes it away if it's being naughty. And then once it's in the handler zone, he can send the dog to get the next one, and it's a lot of fun. The dog is certainly having a lot of fun. All right, there's some links as well if you want to learn more about tri-ball. All right, carting, drafting, and weight pull. This you can imagine is more the larger breed dogs, Rottweilers, Bernese Mountain Dogs, Greater Swiss Mountain Dogs, Newfoundlands, Saint Bernards, Mastiffs. Those kinds of dogs are more in the carting world. I haven't really talked about titles. These are all some of the titles that they can get in carting and drafting. Your clients will probably come to you and say, my dog has a RATCH, with RATCH, which means a barn hunt championship. And then they'll say, my dog has a mock, which is an agility championship. My dogs have herding championships. So we can talk more about that at another time if you want to learn more about different titles that they get. So carting, sometimes it's just pulling weights or a little cart around. Sometimes you're actually sitting in the cart. And then I'll let you guys watch the videos and look at links on your own. Racing, this is a big group, right? So we've got greyhound racing, which isn't as common anymore. But without greyhound racing, we wouldn't have a lot of the research we have on sporting dogs. So there's lure coursing. This is more sight hound, or also sight hounds that do this. More the smaller breed sight hounds. This little guy down here, I usually play name the breed, but since this is a recording, I can't quiz you guys. So this little guy up here, he's a Portuguese Podengo. And then down here, you probably all know that's an Irish Wolfhound. So the Wolfhounds are so big that they don't do lure coursing with them as much. Some people do, but they have their own event called the Large Gazehound Racing. So this is just a straight flat race with Irish Wolfhounds. There's another newish one called Fast Cat. This is a coursing ability test, which is basically a 100-yard dash for dogs. And any breed can do this, as well as lure coursing. I've seen all kinds of breeds out doing lure coursing. Retrieving and pointing. This is another huge category. I have broken down lectures in the medical manipulation course if you want to come to that, or if you've already been through that, you've probably already seen a lot of this. But anyway, this includes retriever field trials, hunting retriever field trials, working gun dog tests, pointing breed trials, hunt tests, and then there are also retriever and spaniel trials. I don't have any good videos that are short because the field trial videos are quite long and hard to see because the dog has to go 300 or 400 yards out, retrieve birds, and bring them back. So if you want more information, again, check out these links. Nose work and tracking. So this is another fun one that a lot of, actually it's a huge venue, the nose work. A lot of people are getting into. It's so competitive, at least in Colorado, that there are wait lists at the trials, and people have to wait several months before they can get their dog into a trial. But nose work is based on finding these three different scents initially: birch, anise, and clove. And then they do different types of searches. So they'll do container searches, which is, this picture on the upper left there. They do indoor searches, so it's just a room like what we're in right now. And they have vehicle searches. So the upper right picture here, this little dog is doing a vehicle search. And then they also have an outdoor area search too. Tracking. This is dogs following a scent of varying difficulty. And it can be through cityscapes or farm landscape type areas. Schutzen is what we used to call it. This is the attack bite work kind of stuff. We now call it IPO, and I can't pronounce that, but you can read it there. So in IPO, they are tested on 3 different things: tracking, obedience, and protection. So we always think of the protection piece with Schutzen, but they also have obedience and tracking that they have to perform as well. You guys can check out some of these videos on your own, but a lot of them are intense to watch, and watch more the dog's potential for injury is what I like to watch in these videos. And you can kind of see that here in this picture. This dog's doing some crazy lateral flexion. Luckily he has a tail, a Rottweiler with a tail, so hopefully he won't hurt his back. Mushing sports, so this is sled dog races, ski joring, and bike joring. There's probably more types of joring out there, but the sled dog races are what we typically think of with mushing, like the Iditarod, which is a 1,000-mile race. They have teams of 21 dogs, but 6 of them must finish the race, and it's from Anchorage to Nome, Alaska, and they have, depending on weather, a couple weeks or more to do it in. The ski joring is you're on skis and the dog is tethered to you, and same thing with the bike joring, so you're on a bike and the dog is tethered to you there. A lot of people are having a lot of fun with this bike joring and ski joring stuff out in Colorado. All right, guide dogs and service dogs. I always include them in my canine athlete talks because they are. They're out working all day, every day. May not be super physical work, but definitely can be hard on their bodies and their minds. So with guide dogs, these dogs are bred with desired qualities, so trainability, bond to people, their ideal structure, things like that. And then the puppies are sent to homes to be raised with basic obedience and for them to socialize them really well. And then they return them to the guide dog training programs between 12 and 18 months old for their training. And if they get washed out of their training, they go through a career change. They can either become pets or they can move on to be service dogs, therapy dogs, search and rescue dogs, medical alert, cancer detection, all kinds of different second careers for these dogs. The idea about service dogs, these aren't specifically bred to do their job. They can be any breed, they can be rescue dogs or washout dogs from the guide dog programs. But basically the idea here is to help people with disabilities. So anything from autism to PTSD. Then there's also a group of medical alert type dogs. Some of these dogs are you just happen to find out that your dog is alerting to your diabetes or your cerebral hypertension, things like that. So a lot of dogs are considered medical alert dogs too. So we can talk more about the ethics and whatnot in these service dogs that are going through the airport and biting people because they're not really service dogs and that kind of stuff, if you would like to. But for the sake of this lecture, we'll just leave it at that. All right, so I just thought that this was a fun slide. Most of my lectures, when I go to do my references, it's all books and journal articles and all that kind of stuff. But with this lecture, it's kind of fun because I get to reference all of my friends and my clients and my patients. And those are some dogs that have had a big impact on my career over there. So thank you very much. We'll take a quick break and then we'll get on to sporting dog injuries. natural progression. Thank you.